What's going on, YouTube world? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks once again for tuning in. I'm Dusty, and you already know it. It's the Shred Academy. Today, we're gonna talk about 2 things you can do to make you better at jumps, drops, corners, and as well enhance your ability to ride different terrain. And these 2 things are simple and require no actual bike skills. You literally just have to do them, and the ability and skills will come. The first one is simpler than the second, and it's gonna really enhance your ability to feel like you're flowing on the trail. It's simply looking up, looking ahead down the trail. The second thing as well is super simple, but sometimes can feel awkward to get used to. Wide elbows. Don't let your elbows fall in. It sounds simple, but let's talk about why it's so important in different scenarios. First, we're going to talk about technical terrain. Are you coming into technical terrain looking just in front of your front tire because you're scared of what you might hit and your upper body is bouncing around and it makes it harder to see and control? Or are you coming into technical terrain, eyes up, choosing your line, and controlling your upper body with proper arm position? It's no secret that momentum can smooth out rougher terrain, and momentum can help us stay in control in other terrains. It doesn't matter if it's steep, off-camber terrain or mellow, rocky terrain. If you're not looking where you're going, how are you picking your line? Picking your head up allows you to see what's coming before you actually get to it. That way you can anticipate what's coming and choose smoother and make flowier arcs through the trail, carrying more momentum. But if your eyes aren't looking ahead, you can't anticipate what's coming, and you're just anticipating what's in your initial sight line. Meaning your path is very jagged because you're not anticipating what's coming. You're just reacting to what's right in front of you. But if your eyes aren't looking ahead, you can't anticipate what's coming, and you're just anticipating what's in your initial sight line, meaning your path is very jagged because you're not anticipating what's coming. You're just reacting to what's right in front of you. Finally, having wide elbows is going to help us stabilize our upper body, which is then going to stabilize our head and give us better vision. To stabilize your upper body, which then will stabilize your head, you want to have wide elbows. These wide elbows are going to allow you to utilize the handlebars as somewhat something to push and pull away from to keep your upper body stable. Now, while you're performing these absorb and then push away movements, if you have your elbows nice and wide, you're able to use not only your forearm strength, but your bicep strength to push through things or absorb them as they get pushed into the bike. Note that as I come through here, as I push and absorb the bike, keeping my body stable, which stabilizes my head, which gives me better vision. But once my elbows fall in, I'm no longer able to use my bicep and forearm to stabilize my upper body against the handlebar. I'm literally just able to kind of use my forearm as my elbow extends. Take a look at my body position here. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do a push-up on the bar in this position. But in this position, I'm able to absorb and push away with using not only the force of just my forearm, but my biceps and some of my shoulder muscles as well. Elbows in provides very little body stability in technical terrain. Elbows out, you'll be stable and your vision will be clear. So how are you gonna ride through your next technical rocky section? Eyes up, elbows out, or head down, elbows in. Next, we're gonna talk about corners. Not just berms, but flat corners as well. Eyes up, elbows out, or head down, elbows in. We'll let you decide. Now, just like with technical terrain, in a berm, if you're looking at the ground, you're just reacting to what you're seeing as it's coming into your line of vision, and things happen very quickly. But if you pick your head up, you're able to see what's coming, anticipate, and then react properly so you carry your momentum. Yeah, Dusty, look up, but where should we be looking through the turns? Pretty simple, guys. As you approach a corner, whether it be a flat corner or a berm, you should be looking at the entrance. Once you reach the entrance, you should be looking at the middle of the berm. Once you reach the middle of the berm, you should be looking at your exit. Your eyes should always be moving ahead of you. Now, these are shorter berms, so you can tell I'm kind of almost already looking at my exit here. But because I've already scanned this berm all the way back here, I can pick my head up, trust that my body will react properly because I'm properly set up, and I can anticipate what I need to do in that berm and then keep looking ahead. Same thing for flat corners. Even though right now I'm already looking at the exit, that's because all the way back here, I was looking at the entrance. As I entered behind the tree, I was looking at the middle. And now as I'm coming around the corner, I'm looking at my exit. But because I've scanned all of this trail while I was entering and coming around, I don't have to be looking straight down at my front tire. I can anticipate what's coming, and because my body is set up properly, I can trust that I can react as my bike goes over certain things. I just mentioned correct body position, and just like through technical terrain, wide elbows are gonna help you maneuver the bike more comfortably. Let's remember that cornering is a combination of leaning the bike and a slight front tire steer while leaning the bike. But leaning the bike is the key. And if we have wide elbows, you can see how moving the handlebar to one side, my elbows just hinge. Straight elbow, hinged elbow. To the other side, bent elbow, more straight elbow. One more time, leaning the bike, hinging at the elbows, okay? But if I bring my elbows in, I'm really no longer hinging at the elbows. Look how little bike lean I have compared to wide elbows. Look at all that bike lean compared to not a whole lot of room for my elbows to move around. Wide elbows let your arms hinge at the elbow, one side to the other. It doesn't matter if you're in a berm or a flat corner. You need to have wide elbows so you can properly lean the bike, especially in flat corners. Leaning the bike over and getting your weight onto the outside so you're pushing down on the inside cornering knobs is super important to keep traction. If my elbows are falling in, how am I supposed to lean the bike? Look at how much bike lean I have here versus here. Here or here. Not to mention I'm looking at the ground and I necessarily can't tell where I need to go, so I'm kind of just squiggling along here. But there's no way I can lean the bike over. Yes, I'm trying to get my hips out, but how can I lean the bike over if my elbows are up against my body? It's just not gonna happen. Elbows away from the body, elbows can bend as they need to be so that bike can lean over and I can position myself wherever I need to. Wide elbows, inside elbows. The same thing can be said for berms. If your elbows are close to your body, you're not going to be able to lean the bike over comfortably. Wide elbows, elbows inside. Wide elbows, wide elbows, elbows inside. As well, if something were to hit the front tire, how am I going to absorb with my elbows like this? Remember back to chunky technical terrain. Wide elbows are going to help us push away and absorb through bumps. The same thing is going to happen in berms. If something were to hit my tire here, I would be able to absorb and push away with this arm, and the same thing can be said for this arm. If something kicks my tire this way, I can help hold it in with this arm. Next, we're going to talk about the old drop. What do you guys think? Eyes looking down trail, elbows out, or eyes down, elbows in? Let's take a look, and once again, you can decide. If you haven't seen the pattern, you should now. If you're looking at the ground before a drop, how are you supposed to anticipate where you should push? How are you going to spot your landing? Any of that if you're just looking right in front of you. It doesn't matter if it's just a rolling drop where your front tire is just going to hit the ground and then your rear tire, or a drop you can't just roll right off. If you're not actively looking ahead, you're not going to see the edge of the drop coming, so you won't be able to anticipate the edge of the drop, knowing when to either push or lean your body forward. And you also won't see the landing coming. Even if it is a blind landing, it's going to be even more blind. Your head up will give you at least a sight line of the landing eventually, and a better one other than looking straight down. By now, I hope you guys know you should be looking ahead, spotting the edge of the drop, and then spotting your landing. But as well, proper elbow position is going to make a drop that you can just ride right off, front tire, then rear tire, that much easier than if you were eyes down, elbows in. But you already know why your eyes should be up. But why should your elbows be out? Starting with a drop, you can kind of roll right off of. If my elbows are out as I approach this rolling drop, I'm going to be able to push the front wheel down towards the ground, all in one motion, starting at the shoulder, following through the elbow, and using my whole arm to extend, like so. All extending. And notice how my upper body doesn't get jerked forward. I kind of stay over top of the bike. But if my elbows are tucked in to my side and I start going off the drop, I'm going to be kind of forcing down with my forearm instead of pushing through my shoulder, through my elbow, my forearm, and using my whole arm to push towards the ground. Arms still extend, but notice how my body gets jerked forward. And that's because it wasn't starting from the shoulder, going down the bicep, through the elbow, and through the forearm. It just kind of starting from the elbow and kind of applying this that way pressure down. It wasn't actually pushing through. And my body gets pulled forward, and it's a very awkward landing. If there was something, a rock, we'll say here, this is a great chance for me to go OTB and or hit my head, chest, or whatever on my handlebars. So having nice wide elbows, look at my elbows here, is going to help you control the bike. On these drops, you just want to roll the front tire off and push the front tire towards the ground. Look at how even this pushes, straight through the shoulder, down through the elbow and forearm, straight towards the ground. Body doesn't get jerked forward. I'm actually pulling my body forward with my arms right there, bringing you back to center. At no point, if there's a rock, would it necessarily send me over. I could still push through with my arms. There's a lot of force as you're pushing here. And the same thing is going to go for a drop. You can't just ride right off. Wide elbows is going to give you the ability to push the bike forward, create forward momentum so the front wheel doesn't dive. And you'll be pushing directly from your shoulders. It'll be all one forceful motion. It'll also give you the ability to not have your body get jerked forward and have a nice smooth landing because you're able to absorb your upper body's impact downwards. If your elbows are in, you're not pushing from your shoulders. Front wheel still kind of goes out, but starts to dive and then jerks my upper body forward because my whole arm didn't extend. I wasn't pushing from the shoulder. I was just pushing from the elbow through the forearm. And it's a very harsh landing. My body goes over the bars, easily could get thrown OTB here. So if my elbows are nice and wide, I'll be pushing through my shoulder, down through my bicep, through my elbow and forearm, and watch my arm straighten a whole lot better outwards. I'm pushing the bike out through my shoulder. There's a lot more force. Okay, and look how I can extend through my shoulder so that I can counterweight to keep that front wheel from just diving. And as well as I land, I can extend a lot better and absorb my upper body impact through my arms so my head doesn't get jerked forward over the bars.
Finally, we're going to talk about jumps. What do you think, guys? We're going to want to be eyes looking down trail, elbows out, or looking down at the ground, elbows in? I think we know the answer, but we're going to check it out anyway.
All right, I'm going to say it again, but if you're not looking at the jump, how are you supposed to anticipate the lip of the jump, how long it is, and then the landing itself? But if you're looking ahead, you can spot the lip, anticipate your movements. You're going to know how long the jump is necessarily. And then once you go off said lip, you're going to be able to spot your landing. Last but not least, the importance of wide elbows for jumping. It provides a lot of things. First, as you're creating the initial front wheel lift, wide elbows are going to allow your upper body to leverage back evenly. If your elbows are in, as you create that front wheel lift, having a skinny platform with your elbows can lead to the front wheel turning, as you can see it does right there, upon the final part of the wheel lift as you go into your explosion. This is the initial wheel lift with the elbows in, elbows out, elbows in, elbows out. Can we see the different position it allows my body to be in? And once my body leaves and I'm about to finish the front wheel lift and start my explosion, notice how the bars don't suddenly get jerked one way because I've created a wide, even, stable platform with my shoulders and elbows. And then as I start to pull myself up and over the top tube, that pull is then even as well and is aided by the shoulders, biceps, and elbows. With our elbows in, as we extend the initial wheel lift to its final point, this can lead to the bars turning if we have inside elbows. Watch the bar turn there. And now as well as I pull myself up and over the bars, I will be more or less pulling just from my forearms, pulling myself up and over. And I get a much quicker arc and uncontrolled other than one that kind of seamlessly flows off the lip. And finally, wide elbows give us a strong platform to land on and absorb our upper body so that we can have a smooth landing. Notice wide elbows and notice how I can absorb in and bend at the elbow. If my elbows are in, notice how the absorption is different. This versus this, that, or this. One more time. This or that. Choice should be pretty simple.
Well, guys, that's it for today. Eyes up, elbows out. going to improve all of your technical skills and your ability to ride all different types of features. If you liked the content, please make sure to leave me a comment. And as always, like, share with your friends, and make sure you're all subscribing. Our goal is 10,000 subscribers. If you want to make sure that the channel continues to survive and grow, please become a paid Patreon. The link is in the description. Our lowest membership is $5 a month. That's 37 cents a day. It doesn't sound like a lot to one person, but as all my supporters gather and support me, it adds up to be enough so that I don't have to stress out about making my van payment, feeding the dog, all those types of things. If this video resonated with you and you'd like to leave me a special gallon or two of gas, help me get some dog food, my PayPal link and Venmo link are in the description for appreciation tips. If I don't see you till the next episode, make sure to ride hard, ride safe, be kind to everyone, guys, on and off the trail. A smile can go a long way in someone's day. If I do see you at the trail, make sure to come say hello. I'd love to thank you for supporting the channel and find out why you love mountain biking just as much as I do. But until then, guys, keep the rubber side down. See you next time.